Try this again because the first feed didn't work. This time I'm just hand holding my phone, so it won't be as nice, but at least I'll be able to see like comments and see if things are working correctly. So we'll see once people get on if that works. Hopefully they realize that the old video stopped. And if this doesn't work, I'll just do one of the old style videos and kind of record it. So games behind me. Hello. And yeah, so this is Shelf Life. If you haven't seen it before, we look at 10 games at a time that I covered on the YouTube channel or on the podcast. And we see whether they had shelf life, whether they became something that I wanted to keep and hold on to for an extended period of time, or something that I wanted to trade or sell or pass on to somebody else. So usually I call a lot of games. We'll see if, hey, there we go. Thank you, Katsumi. Glad to know that it's actually working. Sorry it wasn't before. So yeah, just kind of went through the spiel. And by the way, anyone who's watching, feel free to ask questions. I want to try out this live thing and see how it goes. It's a little bit more nerve-wracking than my usual edit away all bad stuff that I usually have. But yes, we're going to go through 10 games. I did open this one up to polling, which we also did for the January episode. But this time there is going to be a game winner. So we had 128 people enter. And you can follow along and see how you did if you remember how you voted. And we had, well, I want to give it away, but we had more than one person get it exactly right. So it is going to come down to a die roll for a free game. I will let you pick one of a few from my collection. I'll give you like a selection, and you'll get to have that shipped to you. So we're going to jump right in. If you haven't seen the episodes before, I'm going to talk about each game a little bit and reveal whether I kept it or not. So yeah, here we go. So the first one, this is back in September of 2019. We're looking at September to October. The first one was called Donning the Purple. So if you didn't watch the videos, this is a game where you're playing as basically Caesar or some kind of Roman general, and it has a solo or competitive play. And of course, I focused on the solo play, but in terms of keeping it, I have to think about whether the competitive play was worth it as well. So this one, did I keep it or not? In this case... Yeah, is it around here? No, I did not keep Donning the Purple. If you watch the review, I was fairly lukewarm on the solo mode. I felt like it stripped away a lot of the best things about the competitive play, like this really interesting action following mechanic. They didn't have that in the solo mode at all. And the way that things came out with only one player, it felt like there were specific strategies that worked the best, and some parts of the game just weren't explored at all. So it felt not like terribly designed, but so yeah, I got rid of this one pretty quickly because I like competitive fine, but I'd mainly gotten it for the solo. Now, it did kickstart an expansion last year that I assume will deliver this year, so maybe that'll be great and totally revolutionize it. But Donnie the Purple did not stay in my collection. So that's one down. And yeah, and again, don't forget, anybody who wants to just comment or ask questions, feel free. I'm not really sure the correct way to do this, just figuring it out. So, for those who missed, Donnie the Purple, yeah, sorry. Those who tuned in the first time, I don't know what was wrong with the first feed, but now at least I can see it. I can see your comments. So, thanks for being here, everybody. Yeah, sorry, Nick. Thank you. Glad you had it over here. So, Donnie the Purple is gone. Next, I covered two roll and writes, which I'll be totally honest is a genre or mechanic, I don't know what you call it, a type of game that I have very little experience with. And Nick's already guessing. Hey man, don't give it away, but you might be right. I am excited by the idea of roll and write. I played Welcome to once. I thought that was really good. And Liz Davidson on Beyond Solitaire covered Cartographers, which I think looks really cool. And I know Nick was just playing that on the Slack. We're not playing it on the Slack, but talking about it. So I like the idea of the genre. But our first one, Encore, do I have it? This is where I keep all my small games over here. And nope. It's not there. So Encore is gone, 2 in a row. And you all know I like the calls, so that's probably not too surprising. So Encore was the more boring of the two that I covered, Encore and Dizzle, which were both brought to the US by Stronghold Games. It was very basic, like basic to the point of, at least for me, boredom. And maybe the idea of roll and writes is that, at least for solo play, that they are kind of basic and simple. I guess. Like maybe it's just kind of like playing Klondike Solitaire with cards. You can just kind of go through the motions and not really have to think very much. But for me, I wanted more. And again, from what I've seen, like with cartographers and Welcome to, I think they have more going on. But Encore didn't have that much going on. So that one was gone. And then we get to Dizzle, the other one. I got both sent both of these at the same time. This one was better. They have, in just the base set, 4 different boards that you can kind of play through. And you can like do these different little special squares, like you can teleport around, and you have to like find keys to unlock doors. So all that was way better. It had more going on, but strategically, it was still kind of nothing. So Dizzle, no surprise there, it's also gone. So first 3 for those keeping track of whether they won the free game or not. Down in the purple, Encore, Dizzle, all out of here. So now we're getting to one that might have a better chance. Euphoria, Build a Better Dystopia. This is a Stonemaier game. Not as good, of course, as my favorite Stonemaier game. Sorry. Yeah, you can kind of follow along and see if you already might be out of the running. Because some people did hit it right on, so you have to get it all right to win. Yeah, so Euphoria, Build a Better Dystopia. I liked it pretty well. And I have to say, I really like Automa Factory. We did an interview on the podcast with Morton from Automa Factory. He's awesome. He's a fan of the podcast, which I very much appreciate because he's such a great designer. But, I don't know, Euphoria, not soured, but definitely became less exciting for me as time went on. The dice mechanics, I feel, and I said this in the review, I felt like they were kind of a missed opportunity. Like, it was a great idea that like these dice represented your workers in a dystopia. I would have loved if they pushed that theme more. Yeah, Nick, I don't know how memorable it was. I mean, I liked it. I don't want to say it was bad. And I do think, now you need an expansion to play solo, which is already kind of a barrier to entry. I do think the expansion added some nice stuff. A lot of variety in terms of the kind of like these workers, these leaders you can recruit, which is the most variety in the game. But with that variety, this is Euphoria we're talking about, with that variety, I didn't feel like the game experience actually changed much. So it's like there were a lot of different cards to try, but the strategies, what you were doing, tended to stay the same. And the biggest thing, and this happens somewhat frequently with Automa Factory design, so I guess this is one knock against them. A lot of times I feel like maybe I can't influence the AI. And honestly, maybe it's not them. Maybe it's just the fact that a lot of the Stonemaier games they've designed Automa for are somewhat multiplayer solitaire, which isn't a bad thing. I don't think of that as like a bad word. But yeah, for Euphoria, definitely felt like multiplayer solitaire in a lot of cases, and more so than an actual multiplayer game. So yeah, I mean, you can kind of guess it. But Nick, you were right. So I guess you're on a streak so far. Euphoria is gone. I think I traded it for something. I don't remember what. All right, now we get to a big one. This was the one that out of the 128 voters, the most people said I would keep. And that is, of course, Marvel Champions. And for those who know me, my number one game is Arkham Horror, the living card game. So I am a fan of the Fantasy Flight cooperative living card game entries. And funny enough, if you haven't heard the recent podcast, I've talked about this, but I used to not like Lord of the Rings, and Colin has basically converted me into being a Lord of the Rings fanatic now. I'm playing through the entire Lord of the Rings saga set, and, you know, I love those books, I love those movies, so that definitely helps kind of like get me into the theme. But yeah, that game is awesome too. Maybe not quite as good as Arkham for me, but definitely great. So, Marvel, did it stay? Do I have the box? Do I have it? I don't, but I did mention on the last episode that there you go. Nick's asking the exact right question. Oh, who is this? Hey, Jeremy Howard, how are you? Thanks for joining. Everyone, Jeremy Howard from Jambalaya Games and Man vs. Meeple is in the listening audience, or viewing, I guess. Yeah, so Marvel Champions, I don't have it here, but as Nick said, I'm still counting it as part of my kind of collective collection, because Peter we kind of like pass the copy back and forth between us, so he currently has it. And he's the greater owner of it because since I'm buying all things Arkham and buying a lot of Lord of the Rings, he agreed to buy all of the Marvel stuff, at least until we decide we don't want it anymore. But I do want to share some things on Marvel. So we're going to take a second to pause the video. Well, not pause the video, but pause the the onslaught of games. Marvel. Not as good as when I first reviewed it. If you remember my review, this is last year, I gave this 5 pros. 5 pros. I've only done that once before. Anybody know what game I did it for? Anybody remember? In the viewing audience, which game did I give all 5 pros? So I'll let you think about that if you remember. But Marvel had 5 pros, and don't think that's true anymore. Yeah, great. Is this how live is going to go? I'll just disconnect sometimes. Hello, I'm here. So single player is very swingy. You can like get killed because the cards aren't balanced great, especially in the advanced cards. You have cards that can have the villain attack again. You have cards that can have the villain scheme again, and they don't. They don't scale well with higher and lower player counts. With solo, it can be just devastating. Like, I've had many games, and it's not too terrible because the game is fast, but I've had many games where the villain would attack me. I would use a lot of defense, and then they would attack me immediately again because of a card they draw. They can even attack like 3 times in a row. And there's not much you can do at that point unless you just have a ton of allies sitting around just waiting to defend. So Marvel's got that problem. I do think yeah, okay. Nick got it. Spirit Island is the other full pro. And I do have complaints about Spirit Island. If I reviewed it today, it might have like one mix or con, but that's for another episode. So, yeah, the swinginess isn't great. The player count is a little bit off. Another thing about Marvel that I've started to not love, it sort of tries to strike the balance between Sentinels of the Multiverse, where you have set decks for each hero, and a fully constructible game like Arkham mostly, or Lord of the Rings, where you can really build whatever you want. And I'm not sure if I love that with further plays, because for some of the decks, I'm thinking like mainly Iron Man and Black Panther, their entire strength is based on their Iron Man or Black Panther keyed cards. Their strength is not based on like what you build into the deck. So that's not great. That's not ideal, because I don't know. All the other cards I build, I feel like are just trying to push me along to get the Iron Man and Black Panther cards. So I feel like the deck construction isn't as good as the other games. I feel like the swinginess isn't as good, the player balance. And here's the other thing. 5 pros. Pros, like pro and con. The final thing with Marvel is I just really miss the lack of narrative. Yeah, there you go. I agree with you again. I miss the lack of narrative. Now, story mode that's coming this year, theoretically, might fix this. I have no idea. I guess nobody knows except people who have played it. But it's great over scenarios. Even the Wrecking Crew with their changing villains, even the new Green Goblin deck where he's like flipping to different sides, it still felt like I was doing the same stuff. It's fun stuff. I still love the choice of like which cards I keep and discarding them and all of that. But yeah, I don't know. Marvel Champions is fine, but Peter and I both said we might buy a few more sets, buy some heroes that are our favorites, and not really go out of our way to collect it. And I don't know if it'll be a keeper forever. Arkham, even if I stop buying sets, I think will probably be in my collection forever. And Lord of the Rings, I think, might be the same. But Marvel, it's not there. So yeah, I'm not getting rid of it. It's fine. So that's our first one we're keeping. If you kept track, the first 4 are gone, but Marvel's staying. So let's move on. That was enough about Marvel. That was like 5 minutes just about Marvel. So next in the list was Everdell from Starling Games. And I don't necessarily love Starling Games. We know they have some history of not so great practices. But the game Everdell, this is a sort of mix of a tableau builder and a worker placement with really beautiful art and a big, big tree, whether you like it or think it totally gets in the way of gameplay. And the solo play is really fast, really straightforward. So did Everdell stay in my collection? Hey, look. I actually have, now there's the cover, and I'm going to lift the entire box and pour all my components out. But yes, Everdell is here. So Luis, just to review, and I'll try to do this a few times during the video. Donnie the Purple, out. Encore, out. Dizzle, out. Euphoria, out. Marvel Champions, staying. So Marvel's the only one that's left, and then we just saw Everdell is here. Now, why is Everdell here? I didn't back the latest Kickstarter for the extra 2 sets, like the Carnival and the Mountain. I thought they looked cool, but... Oh, wait, Nick, you're not seeing anything? You just have audio? Well, I'll keep talking, but you can follow up on that. So Everdell... I didn't buy the 2 new sets because I'm not sure if I... Okay, thanks, guys, just confirming. I'm not sure if I want to get them. I want to see reviews and stuff first. So I'm not all in for Everdell. Right now, I just have Pearlbrook and the base set. But here's the big thing. Solo is good. I will play solo. I like it. But I really like playing the game competitive. And hey, Dad. Sorry, there were so many false starts for the video. So we're talking about Everdell. And yeah, I really like the competitive. And also my wife, she's an illustrator. If you haven't seen, she did the, or I don't think I've said this, she did the animation for the 5 and 5 videos. She has her own illustration. She does graphic novels. She's amazing. And she loves the art in Everdell. And the gameplay, while it can be cutthroat, can also be very like low key and not too confrontational. So Everdell I'm primarily keeping for the competitive play. I still like the solo. I'll still play the solo, absolutely. And again, I might pick up the mountains and the carnival expansion once I see how they're received. But yeah, I think this one is good. But I think I might have said this in the review. If you just want it for solo, I'm not sure it's all there. It's not like a great one. I would say Terraforming Mars, definitely a better solo purchase if you're looking for like a tableau builder in a game. But yeah, Everdell is fun. Definitely fun. So that means right now we only have Marvel and Everdell kept. That's 2 out of the first 6. Oh, you're getting to the arena. Yeah, so I actually have not played the arena. Colin's doing the playthroughs for that. But I've heard great things. I think I'm going to play it with him. Hey, Kevin, Spirit Island, that is a good game. I don't know if you're answering the 5 pros question from a while back, but yes, that is the right answer. So yeah, I want to play arena. I think Colin might bring it to Gen Con. That is the first time Colin and I will meet in person. Isn't that wild? That we've been doing this YouTube channel and podcasting and stuff together for so long and have never met. I just have not gotten out to the Midwest where he lives. All right, so we've got 4 games left. And just to run through the names, we've got Detective, City of Angels. That's the Van Ryder one, not Detective from Portal. We've got Final Hour from Fantasy Flight. We've got Cerebria, and we've got Aftermath. And let's see. Random question. Just open Unbroken, and they have advertising on the bottom box outside. Does that bother you? I like Unbroken. I talked about in the Unbroken review that I don't like the business practices of the person who distributed Unbroken. But do I want advertisements on the bottom of the box? I don't really care. I mean, I don't know. The box. Inside, I don't care. I just toss them. Feel free to try to push as many of your games on me as you want. But yeah, on the box itself, I don't know. I even get annoyed by... Does anybody get annoyed by like the little cards they'll include in the game? It's like, hey, here's a card, but it's not really a card. Like that's an advertisement. Like they used up the card budget to push other games on me. I mean, I don't love it, Nick, but it's not going to like bother me. I won't not buy a game because they have an ad on the bottom. But yes, we're getting into our last 4 games. So we've only kept Marvel and Everdell so far, for those of you who voted in the contest. Now we're getting to Detective City of Angels from Van Ryder Game. There's a great question. My first guess is that you kept it, but maybe you loaned it out because of replayability. Great guess. But here's the secret. I don't have time to play through all the cases, or at least I haven't yet. So, this is a big one. Yay! It's here. Because specifically, like you said, Genga, once I play through every case, there's a good chance I will trade this to somebody or send it to somebody, let them experience Detective City of Angels for themselves. But right now, I've only played through, I think, about half the cases in the core game, and then 2 or 3 cases in the first expansion, which I do have. And I did back, by the way, the second expansion that I think is coming this year. So I'm definitely not going to trade it until I get my expansion. But yeah, I love this one. And I said this in my review, but just to kind of remind people, Detective City of Angels, I thoroughly recommend you play it solo or cooperative with someone who will enjoy it, or just with yourself. And then you can go and be the chisel for other people, because I love the difference in the gameplay between the kind of more friendly solo and cooperative mode where you just want to solve the case, and being the chisel and like stringing people along. Let's see. Yeah. I mean, you should play Marvel Champions, and I do recommend like trying it out. I think the gameplay is awesome. And playtest of the expansion on Unbroken, that's exciting. But does Golden Bell still have the rights? Like, I'm so morally conflicted because from the tiny interactions I've had with, I think Artem is the designer of Unbroken. He seems like a nice guy. As a fellow designer, I feel bad for him because if you get in with a bad company, it's really hard to extricate yourself. But yeah, I don't know. I would love to play more content for Unbroken. I like that game a lot. That I guess I'm giving future shelf life. Unbroken is great, but I don't know if I want to support Golden Bell. Anyway, so Detective. It's awesome. Oh, Print and Play. That I can get 3 out of 7. Donning the Purple, Encore, Dizzle, Euphoria, Gone. So we're getting into Final Hour, Cerebria, Aftermath. Let's talk a bit about Final Hour. This is, I believe, I was looking on BGG. I think this is by quite a bit the lowest rated game of these 10. This is, I think, like a 6.6 on BGG. And I get it, man. I get it 100%. This game has limited communication. It can be frustrating. Steve on the podcast said he found it super frustrating and he like just wanted to actually be able to talk to each other and plan together. It has a random end game where a single token flip might win or lose the game for you. And it's also not very Arkham horror. Let's see. If you had to pick one game to recommend to play solo, do you just mean in general, Kevin, or from this list of 10? Here, I'll let you follow up while I talk a bit more about Arkham. Yeah, so it's got a lot of things, and like the Arkham horror theme feels a bit pasted on. Whereas, so if you're like looking for heavy narrative, like Arkham Horror Second Edition, in general on Desert Island, cool, Kevin, let me get to that in a second. Arkham Horror Second Edition, Eldritch Horror, Arkham LCG, those are theme-heavy games. And Final Hour feels a bit more like... I don't know. What's the one that Launius designed? Elder Sign. This feels a bit more like Elder Sign. Yeah, and Dan is saying it doesn't feel like an Arkham game, which is weird because I love Arkham games, but this one doesn't feel like one. So did I keep it with all of that? Did I? Yes, I actually did. And again, this is the lowest rated one. A lot of people won't like this. I'm not really recommending this for everybody. This is a game made for Mike Kelly. Like, literally. I love limited communication in almost all of its forms. And I adore games that keep you in complete suspense until the last turn. Even though it might seem random, even though I might lose just because of a coin or token or card flip, I like the fact that I'm in it the entire time. So I like Final Hour, but man, is it an acquired taste. I really don't know who's going to enjoy it. Loved it. Peter and Jason, our friend Jerry, that we played it with, they were kind of lukewarm on it. I really like the solo. I think Colin likes the solo. Steve didn't enjoy it at all. So very mixed reception from the One Stop Co-op Shop crew. But yeah, Arkham Horror Final Hour, it's okay. Now, back to the question. What solo game would I recommend on a desert island? My first choice, my number one top game is Arkham Horror LCG, but that lives and dies on having a ton of stuff. I don't think it would survive very well on a desert island. You probably lose some of your cards. So I'll go with my, usually my number 2 co-op. I can't say for sure if that's where it is right now. I haven't kind of reevaluated my list in a while. But that would be, for a desert island, Spirit Island. No, not Gloomhaven. Get out of here, Nick. I'm not going to set up all those tiles on the sand. No, definitely Spirit Island. I think the fact that it's so has so many options, so much variety just out of the base game, whereas a lot of the other things I might recommend require a lot of expansions. Spirit Island is a game that I recommend. Oh, nice, Kevin. Dude, we're thinking along the same lines. Yeah, I hope you enjoy that. I think that game is amazing one-handed solo. Like, I like just trying out each spirit and seeing how they work. I think it's great 2- or 3-handed solo if you can handle the brain burn. And, yeah, Paper Tales, Enrique, I played it competitive. I've not played it solo yet. Yeah, you will need a table if you're going to play Gloomhaven. But yeah, Spirit Island is awesome. I definitely love that one. Recommend it to anybody. Arkham Horror LCG, I can't recommend anybody because you have to go in for hundreds of dollars to really get the full experience. Spirit Island, though, get the base game, you'll be happy. All right, we got 2 games left, and then we'll see who won. So far, Donning the Purple is gone, Encore is gone, Dizzle is gone, Euphoria is gone, Marvel still here, Everdell still here, Detective City of Angels still here, and Final Hour still here, and we've got 2 left. Cerebria and Aftermath, both in my top 20 solo games. Well, did Aftermath make it in? They're definitely my top 20 games of last year. So Cerebria and Aftermath. Let's talk about Cerebria first. This is a cool theme. You're like inside a mind or like creating a mind or in some kind of cognitive world. I honestly don't understand the theme entirely, but it's cool. The artwork is beautiful and fanciful and fun. The components are gorgeous. I didn't get the painted set, but in any case, it is really, really nice game. And the solo mode is great. It's brain burning. It takes a while to learn. I definitely said that in my review. It is not a like sit down and play in a second. I had to watch some gameplay videos to get it myself. And you can do competitive. You can do co-op, sort of team-based. Lots of cool stuff going on. So did I want to keep Cerebria? Do I want to keep it? in my collection. It's not here. It's not here. And why is it not here? I want to be really clear on this. I think this game is fabulous. First of all, one of my friends, not like somebody that I game with every day, but one of my friends does have a copy. So if I'm really itching for some Cerebria, I might be able to borrow it or play competitive with him. But the other thing is that it's a little bit on the long side. It's a little bit on the complicated side for what I usually go for. And it's the kind of game that I'm not playing fairly frequently, I might forget the rules. It is more, again, complicated. So I love Cerebria. I think it's great. I recommend anyone try it. I recommend you get it if it interests you. But for me, like having to review games every week, yeah, exactly, Dan. Like it's just tough to get to the table sometimes. It's just the reality of my current situation with One Stop Co-op Shop. I'm getting generally a game or two a week, and I have to quickly move through. Now, I still try to play every game 5 to 10 times so that my reviews present a, at least fairly deep view of the game. I'm not going to have a perfect picture of everything, but yeah, it's tough to get this kind of one in consistently. So Cerebria on the cutting block. I haven't actually gotten rid of it yet, but I'm going to have it for trade or sale or just send it to somebody. We'll figure it out. All right, so we're on to our last game, and then we will announce the winner. Or determine the winner, because there might be more than one person who guessed correctly. So just a review before we get to our last game. Donnie the Purple, gone. Encore, Dizzle, gone. Euphoria, gone. Marvel, kept. Everdell, kept. Detective City of Angels, kept. Final Hour, Arkham Final Hour, kept. And Cerebria, gone. So what is that? That's 4 kept, 5 gone. Our last game is Aftermath. And this one is interesting. Did y'all see the news? We were talking about it on our Slack. If you haven't heard yet, this is pretty momentous. Plaid Hat Games, that is the main credited publisher for Aftermath. They have split from Asmodee. Cobley Dodge, who I guess originally started the company, he has bought the rights back from Asmodee. So I thought Asmodee was just gobbling everybody up, but apparently it's possible in the world for them to ungobble themselves. It's kind of like when, who is it, Kronos ate all his children and then Zeus came back. But yeah, as Genghis says, the big thing is they're not getting the rights back for all the games that I think are their best. They're not getting back Dead of Winter. They're not getting internet. Are we back? Hey, okay. I'm sorry. I need to reevaluate the live thing if my internet is not going to be too consistent. But yeah, so Aftermath, best storybook game. Although, to be fair, I didn't love the other storybook games. Mice and Mystics, I guess, kind of counts, and that one I thought had some flaws. Stuff Fables I thought was good, but had some really rough scenario design at the end. Comanauts I did not like much at all. Aftermath I really enjoyed a lot. Do I have it? No. And here's why. This is a key thing to know about the game. And I had mentioned this in my review, but it was confirmed when I finished the campaign. It presents... It kind of tries to Kingdom Death Monster it up, where you're building a base and you're picking missions and things, kind of like Kingdom Death, where you pick what you want to hunt. But for all of that kind of rigmarole, which I do appreciate, in the end, it's very linear in the base game. And not linear in that you literally do the exact same missions in a row. I can pick what missions I do, but to achieve victory, I have to do the exact same things. And I can do them in different order. Yeah, that's a good question, Murdakis. Let me think about that one about Tainted Grail for a second. But yeah, so you can play the Aftermath things in whatever order you want, but you're going to do the exact same missions. And they're going to play out in mostly the same way. There's a few different choices you can have, but in general, it's the same kind of stuff happening. Now, they've promised expansions. And if you get different characters in your expansions, it changes what missions you have to complete to win. And that should be cool. And if they add more missions, that should be cool. I do think they've written themselves a bit into a wall where I'm not sure how they would expand the actual missions available. I guess if you had a separate book and they made the map bigger, or they had alternate missions on the same map spaces. But the way they had this limited little square map you're moving around does seem I don't know, like they've limited themselves. So now that I've beaten Aftermath, I don't know if I need to play it again. If I wanted to show it to somebody else, yes. But I've seen everything. I don't think there's any real cool surprises. I don't think there's anything really interesting. I've never played Near and Far, Dan, but Aftermath is the same as Stuff Fables, kind of like Mice and Mystics. So it is a sort of dungeon crawlish tactical miniature game. The storybook part is, and I love this, I would love to see this more, is that they have this big spiral bound book. and the maps you're moving around on are like inside the books. You have to set up tiles, and they can have like really unique setups and artwork, and all the special rules are on the other side. So you have one page with rules, one page with the tiles. So it's a lovely way to play. I think, yeah, so as Nick said, basically I was deciding, do I want to wait for the expansions or not? And this one I also have not gotten rid of yet, but I don't plan to play it. And yeah, like, I don't know. So what's happened with Aftermath? I think the announcement said that with Plaid Hat giving it up to Asmodee, that it's going to Z-Man. But I have to imagine there's going to be like a holdup, right? A lull in the expansion development because of this major change in the whole like ownership of the game. So if they come up with a ton of expansions, would I get it again? Would I trade for it? Yeah, I might. I definitely might. But as of now, there's no reason not to pass it on to somebody else who can experience that somewhat linear campaign for themselves. Still fully recommend it. Just go in knowing that, in my opinion, once you get your 13, 14, 15 plays in, even though you'll have your own order of how you did it, you're basically done with it. In some ways, it's kind of like Pandemic Legacy Season 1. Like, yes, you can play it again, and yes, different things might happen, and maybe for some people that's enough, but for me, I was like, I've seen it all, so that was about it. All right, so the question, crud, was there, oh yeah, Tainted Grail. Tainted Grail is coming up in a future shelf life, so I don't want to give away too much, but I do want to play it more as of right now. So I think its number is called in a month or two, so we'll see then whether it's staying in the collection. But for now, to not get too into details because I don't want to give anything away, Tainted Grail is around for now. So just to go through the full list, and then we'll announce our finalists and roll to see who actually wins a free game from me. And this is one from my collection. I'm going to give you a selection, and I'll send it to you. Donnie the Purple, Encore, Dizzle, Euphoria, Cerebria, and Aftermath. That's 6 games gone or going to be gone. Oh, it's okay. I'll tell you who won, so if you don't remember, you'll find out soon. The ones that are staying in the collection, Marvel Champions, but again, very much soured. Well, not soured, but it's okay. Yeah. Good example. Mechs vs. Mini is another one that, like, if you feel like you've seen the entire thing, you might not want to keep it. So Marvel Champions staying for now. Everdell staying because my wife loves it. Detective City of Angels staying until I play through all the cases, get the expansion, and play through all those cases. And that could take years, but then I might get rid of it. And then Arkham Final Hour staying for now. We'll see if I play it a lot. It's a very small box, so I don't really mind that one kind of taking up a little space on the shelf. So, who got those games right? Looking at my names here, and sorry if I don't pronounce correctly. I should have asked for a pronunciation guide. So, out of 128 people who entered the contest, 128 people. Yeah, sorry, Nick. Nick, what did you get wrong? Sorry, just to point you out there, but you're saying not it. 128 extra people who entered. 4 people nailed it. 4 out of 128. What is that statistically? I don't know. I guess it's less than 4%, like 3%, 2%, somewhere in there. So, our 4 names, and then we're going to roll for it. So we got Dan Cusano, not sure exactly. Randall Stevenson, John Plow. I think, I'm pretty sure John is a Patreon backer. I've seen that name before. And Steve, I should have written this more clearly. Dakuganow, I think. I mean, I'll email you if you're the winner, so you'll find out regardless. So Dan Chusano, Randall Stevenson, John Plow, Steve Dakuganow. So that's 4 possible people. And I, like a dummy, got a 6-sided die. And look, hey, there's my Cuba Libre playthrough. If you're on the Slack, you might have heard me say that I spent 2.5 hours recording that yesterday, and I'm halfway done. Lord. So after this live video is done, I'm going to jump back in and try to finish it. It's exciting, though. I mean, I'm liking the game. Okay, so we've got, here's my, oh my gosh, don't judge my handwriting. Dan, Randall, John, Steve. So we'll say 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll re-roll a 5 or a 6. Some shoddy stuff here. Should have gotten a D8. All right, so big winner, big winner, big winner. Oh, you're kidding me. Build up the suspense. 2. Randall Stevenson, you have won something from my collection. I'm going to send you an email after we're all done here. I'll probably give you a choice of 3 or 4 games, and you can pick which one you want to take. So congratulations. Sorry, Dan, John, and Steve, you came really close. Great job knowing me too well in terms of what I would keep and get rid of. But yeah, thanks everyone for putting up with, gosh, a really long video. 2 false attempts at videos. The video dropping out sometimes. I hope this was a fun process and not painful. Let me know if we should do this again. If you want me to go back to 5-minute shelf life, that's less work for me. But if you found this enjoyable, I'm certainly happy to do this again. And yeah, we'll see you at the next stop. Randall, I'll be sending you... Always wrong. Okay, cool. So some of you liked it. And yeah, sorry, I know it's always sad when you don't win. We'll try to do some more giveaways. Again, I'm probably going to give away a game of mine every month for the foreseeable future. Even if it's a not live video, I think we'll still do the contest because I found that super fun. I like to see what you all guess. So thanks, Enrique. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Kitsume. Everyone who's in there. Yeah, and Cuba Libre. It is coming. Yeah. I'm going to jump right in once I get off the video and email Randall. So everyone, we'll see you at the next step. Keep checking out the channel. Join the Slack if you'd like and come talk. Send some money our way on Patreon if you think we deserve it or you want to support the channel. And we will see you at the next stop. Thanks, everybody.